This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What am I, an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Hello and welcome to the Godless Rebelution. Today is Friday, not Thursday. It's Friday. This is episode 303. It's September 4th. I'm Dan Ellis.
I am Ryan Duffy.
You are Ryan Duffy. I am looking at some things here on the display that are disconcerting because the thing that I'm recording into. So, I told you that before we started that I sounded a little weird, and now I'm just peeking all up in this hizzy. Let me turn this down.
What?
That's better.
I got all excited.
Well, I just, there's been another update to the Microsoft, and it's fucked with things and junk and stuff, and I had to move shit around yesterday for the thing that Dad did, and it's
when you were cheating on me.
It's been a bit of an ordeal, yes. We'll talk about that in a minute. What have you been doing over the last week, man?
Getting extremely pissed off at shippers.
Motherfuckers. What shippers are these? Fucking Amazon, was it?
These are people. No, it wasn't. Amazon does a good job.
Yeah.
These are the people that are supposed to be shipping my new bandsaw to my house. That was supposed to arrive last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're recording this Friday, it's been a week of them lying to me that they've tried to show up to my house multiple times. When I've been here, I'm like, I work in my garage when I'm at home. I will see your truck. I haven't seen it, especially when I can see when you say you were here and how long you said you were here for. And I know that it's completely false.
And y'all motherfuckers be lying.
So, yeah. So hopefully I get it next week.
That's got to be so frustrating. Like you set a delivery for the times that you are going to be there. And they keep saying they're going to be there, and then they say that they have been there when they clearly have not because you've been there the whole goddamn day.
Yeah.
Liars.
They keep saying unable to drop off. I'm like, why were you on? You didn't even come here. You didn't even fucking show up.
Lying liar faces.
Yeah.
That's
and then when I talked to them this morning, I said, just get it on a truck and get it here. I'll help them unload it. It weighs just over 300 pounds, and I'm like, the two of us can fucking handle that.
Mm. And their answer to that was, no.
Okay, yeah, we'll get it on a trailer. We'll get it out to you today. Nope. That didn't happen.
Assholes.
Again.
Damn it.
I know, and I got some cool projects that I want to do, and this would be of a great assistance to me.
Yeah. Having a nice big bandsaw that you could resaw stuff with.
Yeah, where I've got some big pieces of wood that I could use more, I guess, economically by making it, sized better, and you having less waste material.
Mm-hmm.
And, that'd be kind of nice.
Yeah. Speaking of waste material, I don't know if I told you, but all of the stringers that I cut, warped. Did I tell you this already?
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had to do some shopping around. I went to, a ton of different places to try to find pressure. Jesus Christ. I went to a bunch of different places trying to find pressure treated wood and, found a few here, a few there. And, the stock that they had on hand at all of these different places was not the best of stock. It was a little warped, and I just thought, okay, well, this has a little bit of cupping, but that should be okay. I can still cut it so that the faces will be square, and I can, I'll deal with it. It'll be fine. And what I didn't take into account at the time was that it was still a little bit wet and was already warped. And so then when I cut it...
so it's going to continue to...
Yeah, so then I cut
warp.
it, expose more of the fibers to air, and...
Yeah.
Then it warped. And, you know, if I had the decking, all of the decking materials here, it probably still would have been okay after I initially cut them and everything. But because they had to sit out there and I've just been waiting for so long, well, they've now warped to where I think maybe 2 of them are any good still. So,
like, were they being hit by your sprinklers as well? Well, we had a little bit of rain too.
Yeah, we had a little bit of rain, but that shouldn't have made a really big deal. I mean, especially for the pressure treated wood. But
now,
yeah,
you ever read the disclaimer on pressure treated wood?
Which one? Which disclaimer is that?
The one that says that their guarantee is only good if you don't cut it.
I have seen that, but there are like it's good as long as you don't cut it, and then if you do cut it, that you have to use another type of sealant on it. And so I get the copper green. It's okay. It's the same.
Yeah, I've seen that where they say the warranty is void if you cut the wood. It's like, you're buying it to build something. Of course, you're going to fucking cut it.
Yeah.
It's like having a warranty on a pair of shoes. Like, the warranty is only good if you don't walk in them.
Well, and like, I imagine that there aren't very many cases where people try to make good on, you know, filing a warranty claim on wood anyway. Like, that's just, you figure by the time it gets to the point of where it's rotting or whatever, it's going to be, you know, where did you put the warranty? Where did you buy it? Do you still have the receipt? Like, it's just too much hassle anyway. So, but
there's probably someone out there who has tried though.
When I get the copper green sealant, it's the copper naphthene or whatever, the same chemical that they use in treating the wood to keep it water resistant and pest resistant. And so I had applied that to all of it. I mean, you can see that it's on there and has sealed nicely and is lovely. It's just all fucking wonky. It looks like there are a couple of them where the individual cuts that I've made to put the risers and the treads on, like if you look at it vertically, it almost looks like a saw blade because the spaces where I would have the treads or the risers there's a couple of them where it's like it's warped so bad that they almost look opposing, if you're looking down the blade of it, you know, a saw blade, and the teeth are offset either, you know, every other tooth is offset one direction or the other.
Yeah.
It's been a long week, man. My brain's a little fried. Having a hard time speaking.
That's called Alzheimer's.
It's called I need my Adderall bump. I gotta hook up with the president, see who's supplying him. Jeez.
Probably his daughter.
Somebody, probably one of his sons. I think Trump Jr. is on something a lot of the time. Seems a little frenetic.
I don't know. I don't know about them anymore.
So we were going to record yesterday, but I was
cheated on me.
I was scheduled to be a guest host on the Empathetic Atheist YouTube show, and we don't typically do video stuff, so I didn't have the studio set up for video stuff at all, and I worked quite a bit later than I was anticipating, and then still had to rush down here and try to get the studio all set up to do YouTube video call. And so I had to disconnect a bunch of shit and reconnect stuff and move furniture around and, you know, make all kinds of adjustments. And by the time I was halfway through all of that and the studio was dismantled and we were supposed to record in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I sent Ryan a message saying, hey, can we record tomorrow? And you, being the gracious guy that you are, said, oh yeah, sure, that's no problem. And then
You caught me just before I was getting ready to go downstairs.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, good. I was really hoping that I would be able to get it all put together. I wanted to get it all done yesterday. I wanted to be able to record our show, and then, we record starting at like 4:30 our time, and I was scheduled to be a guest on their show at 6. And so I figured, okay, well, if I've got everything ready at 4:30, we can record our show. That'll give us a little bit of leeway time. And then I'll have a little bit of a break where I can go to the bathroom, get some water, come back down here, do the YouTube thing. Everything will be fine. But having to rearrange everything in the studio just made that a task that I was unable to complete in time. And
it happened.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't want to cancel on them because, they were expecting that I would be there. And then, of course, the Christian guest that was supposed to be on the show was a no-show. So then I became the guest myself instead of being the co-host. I was a guest, and they had somebody who's, I guess, a semi-regular on the show be the other co-host along with Justin for a minute. And
yeah,
that guy apparently is a Christian of some sort. He seemed like a nice guy.
See, yeah, I was watching it for a little bit, and I said to Sarah, I'm like, is that guy a Christian? Because I don't think we didn't catch the beginning of it. And I was like, he seems like he might be. I'm like, I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I did not know that he was a Christian for a minute while we were just chatting and discussing stuff. And then he said something that that clued me in that, oh yeah, this guy's a believer. And then I asked him. Did he
ask you to pray before the show?
No, but I asked him what denomination he was, and he hemmed and hawed for a second and then just said, probably just best to describe myself as a Christian. Like, I guess.
Okay.
I guess he's taken bits and pieces from other religious practices and has made.
It wasn't
his
Tim,
own.
Was it?
No, no. Everybody was very cordial and nice.
Yeah.
And I think we had a fairly productive conversation. It just, I don't know. It's maybe, and I said this during the show, that maybe it's just that I don't talk to believers very often about what they believe and why, because they started talking to each other. And there was an LDS couple on there. This is in the after party portion of their show. I guess it's
okay,
like an extra thing. And, they invite just regular people who watch the show and whatever on, and they have a discussion. And I was participating in that. And there was a LDS couple who live in Kansas, I believe. And they were very nice, but I don't know. When all of them started talking amongst themselves, they had a Calvinist on there. They had the Christian guy who, was the guest host as they were interviewing me. And then they had a guy who apparently is a Calvinist, and then a guy who is a clown professionally.
And Never met one of those.
I think he's a non-believer, but I'm not entirely sure. Everybody seemed really nice. But then they, during the after party portion of the show, started talking more amongst themselves, and the Calvinist was posing questions to the Mormon people and back and forth. And I finally broke in, and I'm like, it may just be that I don't talk to religious people as often as I used to, but have you guys ever been to like a Comic-Con or anything like that where they've got a panel of speakers and they're arguing about like which superhero is the best, or what what special powers the superhero has and what's canon and not? I'm like, that's what I'm hearing when you guys are speaking, is like, it's all you're all talking about imaginary nonsense bullshit basically. And I tried to be very cordial and nice, and I think at one point I even just said, I can't think of a nice way to say this, but. And I can't even remember what the but part was, what I said after that, but it was just like, You guys,
you're crazy.
I just feel like you're wasting so much of your time and lives on something that is just bullshit. Like I don't understand why people waste so fucking much of their time and lives. Well, and clearly they believe, right? But
yeah,
when I started asking them questions about stuff and pointing out different things that were weird, like they all couldn't even agree on the Noachian flood, right? The biblical flood with Noah's Ark and everything. Like there, even the Mormon guy was like, well, yeah, I kind of go back and forth, and I'm wondering if it's, well, maybe it wasn't the Mormon guy. Anyway, one of them was like, yeah, I kind of go back and forth, and I'm not sure if it was a regional flood or a global flood. And I'm like, well, yeah. It's just,
yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry. If you believe that was a global flood, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, well, I'm like, well, if it was a global flood, then where did all the water come from? Where did it go? Why did God why did he decide to torture everybody? Like an all-knowing, all-loving God who's also all-powerful, who created the universe, could have just, blinked his eyes and snapped his fingers, twitched his nose, whatever, and just made everybody disappear. He didn't have to torture everybody, right? He could have just blinked them out of existence.
Yeah.
And the Mormon lady was like, well, that's not how it works. No, God couldn't do that. And I'm like, wait, God couldn't do that? And then you could tell she was struggling a little bit, and then kind of, things got a little sideways and we moved away from it. But it was like, anytime I pointed out some of the problems, there were all of these weird justifications, and none of the Christians on the fucking panel even agreed with each other. Right?
Yeah.
And so at another point in the discussion, I was just like, you guys don't even agree about this stuff amongst yourselves. Why would anybody else believe it? And what are they supposed to believe? And why is your God such a terrible communicator? And yeah, I don't think like I said, I think I tried to be nice and friendly as much as I could, but like, I don't know.
There's a point where you can't.
Yeah, there's just like, you guys are talking about bullshit and you don't even agree about the bullshit you're talking about. And you think that I'm wrong for thinking that you're all wrong when clearly, almost all of you are, right? Like only one of you can be correct. And you guys haven't figured your shit out. Your God is a terrible communicator. He communicates through failed and flawed human beings. I don't know. It's just, I don't understand how anybody who really values the truth can be a religious person. I mean, unless you're like a Calvinist, like the Calvinist guy, while I despise a lot of what Calvinists believe, they're one of the more consistent sects of Christianity out there, right? Their beliefs are much more internally consistent than a lot of the other Christian faiths out there. And
it's consistently fucked up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like at one point the Calvinist guy was just like, oh no, like if, when we were still talking about the flood and I was saying that, in Sunday school, it didn't make sense to me. And I asked the teacher about it, like God killed everybody, like all of the babies, all the human babies, all the animal babies. Well, what about the fish? I mean, surely if there's water all over the planet, then some of the fish would survive. Well, what about boats? Nobody else had a boat. Nobody else was able to climb onto something to save themselves. How did that work? And then I said,
that's always been my thing. I'm like, did Noah have the only fucking boat in existence? Did he invent the boat?
Well, and why would God have to kill everything and everybody? And did he not know that it was going to happen? And then they start arguing amongst themselves about, well, no, he did know, but he leaves it up to people. And then the Calvinist was like, well, no, people don't have free will. You're predestined. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. You guys are all Christians. You're all supposed to be worshiping the same fucking guy, and none of you can agree on what the fuck he wants you to do, or what he has said, or how he has done ththings, or why he has done things. It's fucking nonsense.
Capable of.
Yeah, it's fucking nonsense. So that was fun, but it's interesting sometimes. Like I can have a conversation with religious people and ask them questions. I just wish that they would get their poop in a group. Like Christians, if you're going to call yourself a Christian, maybe you need to figure out what the fuck that means. And all of the Christians should get together and figure that shit out, but they can't. And the one Calvinist guy made a comment, something along the lines of, well, atheists a lot of the time will cite that, they'll cite the flawed and false statistic that there are over 30,000 Christian denominations. And I'm like, yeah, that's wrong, because there are at least like 30 million because it all depends on everybody has
Your
their
definition.
own Christian beliefs, right? Everybody, you can go into a church and nobody in the church agrees with each other on every point of doctrine.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as one stream or one Christian belief set. They all are so disparate, and they mold their God into whatever they want their God to be.
Yeah, and I would say oftentimes it's dependent on region and your preacher.
Yeah. Yeah, and the family that you grow up in. And
yeah, a Baptist in the North isn't going to be teaching the same thing as a Baptist in the South or the West or the East. They're all going to be teaching different things, even though they're all going to call them a Baptist, but they're all believe different shit.
Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, it made me think that maybe we should try to get some Christians on the show. If there are Christians out there in the audience who would like to take me to task for some of the things that I've said, I would welcome that. If I'm wrong, I want to know that I'm wrong so that I don't continue being wrong. I just haven't been presented with any good evidence to make me believe in a lot of the bullshit that I hear Christians say all the time, and then not even be able to agree with other Christians about.
Hi, this is Christine Stenquist with Truce, Together for Responsible Use in Cannabis Education. If you're interested in medical cannabis in Utah, follow us on our social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Truce Utah. If you're interested in donating to our awesome nonprofit, go to truceutah.org. And thank you so much for listening to the Godless Rebelution podcast.
I'm just going to come out and make this pitch. The old gods are dead. All previous existing religions. All hail the one true God, the giant head in the sky. So if you'll all excuse me, I'm going out onto the sidewalk, I'm dropping to my knees and pledging my eternal soul to the thing that literally controls the f***ing weather. Out of my way.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
Remember, I used to talk about that crazy Christian guy on my Facebook page?
Oh, yeah.
That I did a couple film projects with?
Yeah.
So he puts on, he has a picture of Black Forest Little Monsters flavored snacks, like little gummies.
Mm.
And he writes, too many think something, in innocis, I think he's meant innocent, isn't dangerous. Well, I forgot to bless this purchase from Sam's and didn't think anything of it. But both my brothers and I ate it last night, and both of us got something demonic attacking. Me, heart racing. It went away as soon as I prayed. In Latin, at that. Him, a nightmare. I have since blessed it. But think about it. It's real. The devil enters your home in many ways, unassuming. Like Harry Potter, etc. Video games. Whatever it is. Don't take it literally the next time a doctor can't explain why something is happening. And don't worry, those pauses I left in there were his commas and his periods.
Well, I think it's interesting that he believed that he had to do it in Latin also. Like, God doesn't speak all languages, or maybe he has a favorite language that he prefers.
No, which is why I think it's funny, because he's one of those Christians that he always posts that, like, if they don't put the Eucharist right in your mouth, they're doing it wrong. Like, he won't let them hand it to him, and he puts it in his own mouth. If the prayer isn't done in Latin, it's not going to work.
Oh,
So he will only go to churches that do the Mass in Latin. Do the Eucharist put the Eucharist in your mouth, and he was going off like I should be allowed to take the Eucharist by the mouth, which sounds like he's just getting a fucking blowjob or something. Even with COVID or not and stuff, and it's not true. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking nuts. Like, he thought he was once actually possessed by the devil. Like, Satan got into his fucking body.
Well, that's a thing. I mean, that happens.
You were just reminding me about this because, you're talking about people that can't agree on shit.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got people that can't agree with shit and you got COVID going on, you get flat earthers trying to find the edge of the world.
They've got to do something.
This story will get crazier once you find out where they thought the edge of the world was.
Well, wouldn't it be all around them? Like the edge would be, you could find the edge by traveling in any one direction for long enough if the earth is flat.
You would
right?
think so, but I think they were trying to find the edge in closest proximity to where they were located at, which is Italy.
Okay.
So it's an Italy couple who believe the earth is flat, wound up on a wild misadventure after they decided to put their theory to the test by embarking on a journey to what they suspect is the edge of the world.
Mm-hmm.
The incredibly strange saga reportedly unfolded back in April, but was only revealed to the Italian media by authorities this week. It began when the pair broke the country's then stringent coronavirus travel restrictions and set off in their car towards the coast of Sicily. Amazingly, when they reached the seaside town of
some Italian name.
Yeah. Imersi? Yeah. The pair sold their car and purchased a boat and then set sail for the island of Lampedusa, which for some unexplained reason, they believe to be the edge of the flat earth. Either due to the lack of nautical navigational skills or an ill-conceived travel plan, they ultimately arrived at the island of Ithaca, which is located north of Sicily by approximately 225 miles in the opposite direction of where they wanted to go. Yes.
Are you trying to tell me that people who aren't smart enough to know that the earth is round are also not smart enough to know how to navigate around even what they believe to be a flat earth?
Yes. And I mean, they probably, like all flat earthers say, we did our research.
Oh, sure.
And traveled. I mean, I don't even know what their sailing abilities are, but being that they sailed 225 miles in the wrong direction, I'm surprised they're not dead. It goes on to say, according to officials on the island, the two wary travelers were found tired, thirsty, and risking shipwreck. A doctor who attended the duo understandably found some amusement in their predicament, noting that the funny thing is that they orientated themselves with a compass, an instrument that works on the basis of terrestrial magnetism, a principle that they, as flat earthers, should refuse.
Well,
the pair was then later. What was that?
Oh, I was just going to say, well, see, what they did really is just prove that the earth is flat because the compass didn't work. It's not that they didn't know how to use it. It just didn't work.
No, they just don't know how to fucking use a compass. They didn't know how the arrow worked on it.
Yeah.
It says the pair were then taken by escort to Sicily's capital of Palermo. Yeah, I'm fucking all this up. Sorry. Where they were told to remain in their boat under quarantine for 15 days. But these are flat earthers. You don't keep a flat earther locked down. It would seem that their quest for the edge of the world would not be denied, as incredibly, the couple defied the order and took to the sea once again.
Oh, Jesus.
The trip did not last as long as their previous excursion, as they were intercepted by the harbor master after only 3 hours. And at what must have been a maddening experience for local officials, the pair actually attempted yet another failed escape after that, which led the flat earthers ultimately throwing in a towel on their trip to go, and they went home.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
I mean, what amazes me is that they're, in Italy, they go down to Sicily, and they're not even trying to get past Africa to find the edge of the world. I mean, they went 225 miles in the wrong direction. So it's like, Africa's not that far away. Like, I bet from that island you could get to Africa pretty quick and then be like, well, you would think you would have to at least follow that coastline all the way down until you hit nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's, they're fucking stupid.
Oh, that's adorable.
I mean, I just imagine them sitting around the dinner table with a napkin, drawing their version of the earth and going, yep, it's right there. We'll navigate to it.
Oh, that's funny.
With our compass and our whips.
So, talking about that and my adventures last night on that YouTube show that I was on.
Was one a flat earther?
Well, no, but so I've had this in our show notes as something that we could talk about for quite a while.
Yeah.
And we just haven't because we've talked about other stuff. But I thought, this kind of ties in with all of that, like talking about, listening to religious people talk about where they disagree on points of doctrine and scripture is like listening to, people discussing fan fiction or comic books and, what is part of official canon and what isn't and all that kind of stuff. But I received an email. Gosh, it's been a while now. I received an email a little while ago, and I still intend to eventually reply to this, but I thought it would be fun to talk about it here. And this email was sent to Atheists of Utah and then forwarded to me, and it says, "Hi, Atheists of Utah. I recently watched the debate wherein Mr. Ellis and Mr. Clark confronted Mr. White and Mr. Durbin." So this is talking about the debate that Greg and I did a while ago last year.
White and Durbin were very frustrating.
Yeah. Presuppositionalists and kind of dicks to boot. So,
yeah.
The email continues and says, "I was very impressed with Mr. Ellis's cool demeanor and willingness to consider the Christian argument at face value, giving thoughtful responses where he could. I'm really grateful for that, and I couldn't help but want to reach out to him and ask about his views. In particular, I agree with him that the problem with the presuppositional argument is that it is primarily, or maybe exclusively, presented as an argument against other religions, most commonly atheism, and it lacks a positive construction of the Christian worldview. I was wondering if Mr. Ellis had ever read Bosserman's book, The Trinity and the Vindication of Christian Paradox, an interpretation and refinement of the theological apologetic of Cornelius Van Til."
I have never read a book with a title that long. If the title's that long, I can't imagine how thick that book is going to be.
Oh, dude, it gets better. And it continues. So, if I've read that one, or the seminal works by Van Til and Bonson, Bosserman, in my opinion, presents his case with more clarity. As I understand it, the books present a philosophical problem related to epistemology, the one and the many. They do some work to establish the relevance and importance of the problem, and they attempt to provide a positive construction of the Christian Trinitarian God as the necessary solution. If Mr. Ellis has read these books, I would be very gratified to hear his critique of their positive component in particular. His debate performance has me convinced that he is unique in his willingness to consider arguments from the, quote, other side, unquote, prior to attempting to refute them, and that makes his opinion distinctly valuable to me. Thank you in advance, the person who sent this email. I'm not going to say their name because I don't want people to pile on them, but it just, I haven't bothered to respond to this for quite a while. I will eventually, but I haven't bothered to respond to it because it's like, no, of course I haven't read that fucking bullshit. Why the fuck would I do that? Why the fuck would I, an atheist, read a book about a specific point of doctrine that I don't fucking believe in, that is being argued by two Christians who don't fucking agree with each other? Why hasn't their God sorted this shit out? Why hasn't their God done something to let other people know what the fucking truth is? Why would I waste my fucking time reading a book called The Trinity and the Vindication of Christian Paradox, an interpretation and refinement of the theological apologetic of Cornelius Van Til, or any of the other seminal works by Van Til and Bonson?
If you have to write a whole series of books trying to justify the Bible in some weird what I'm trying to remember the word in here I was looking for, paradoxical way. That's not good.
Yeah, why? I should ask him if he's read anything, talking about specific points of argumentation within the coding world, or, pick any random superhero that people fucking write fan fiction about. And if he's read seminal works about those people, if he doesn't, especially if it's a superhero that he doesn't care about, doesn't agree with, doesn't like it. Why the fuck would I read any of that shit?
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Why the fuck would I read any of that? First, you need to tell me or show me evidence that there is a God before you start arguing about whether he brushes his teeth once or twice a day. Right? Why the fuck would I care about any of that shit until you can show me that it actually is a thing that exists?
Because, this is almost, I guess, to me, sound like it's arguing this is the right kind of God. A lot of you believe in a God, but we found this one to be the right interpretation, where it's kind of no, if you don't believe in any of the interpretations, why would that sway you?
Yeah, it's weird. Ooh, and I think I remembered what I wanted to say about the LDS lady that I was talking to the other night. Fucking no, it's gone again. Shit.
Fucking Alzheimer's.
I know. Oh no, it's come back to me again. Okay, so here it is. I remember now. She at one point when we were talking, she started throwing out Mormon apologetics about how, Joseph Smith wasn't a learned man. He wasn't well educated, but yet he created these fanciful stories. And, so clearly they must be true because, he's a 14-year-old kid who's writing this stuff. And somebody else in the chat was like, was he 14 when he wrote the Book of Mormon? Oh, well, no, and I'm like, okay, so, and then here talking about he had his quote unquote first vision when he was 14, right? Well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, which version of the first vision are we going to talk about? Well, it's one of those things where, something happens to you and your story changes a little bit over time as you remember different things. And I'm like, wait. You're telling me that if God were to appear to you, that you wouldn't have
a clear vision of that?
Oh yeah. You wouldn't immediately go and write that stuff down and, want to record it for posterity, and it would be, set in stone basically as far as what you remember, that it, you wouldn't send out various versions of what you say, of what you claim to have witnessed. And yeah, so she was just throwing out apologetics like that. And then she said, well, and so then what about the witnesses, the 13 witnesses that say that they held the plates and that they, that they touched the things that Joseph Smith was translating? And I'm like, well, what about the witnesses who later recanted that? Well, there haven't been any. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure there have been. And of course there has been one, I think it was Martin Harris, actually.
Did one of them print an expose in the newspaper at the time?
Oh, well,
calling him out for that stuff?
Yeah, I think there were several different people, but, she continued to insist and assert that nobody ever changed or recanted their story about being a witness. And the one bit of argumentation that I didn't throw out there that I should have, that I kind of got sidetracked, but whether or not Joseph Smith is able to write something down at whatever age, right, that he can create a story, fine. And that other people held what he told them were plates. Nobody says that they looked directly at them. They felt their heft, and they were in a cloth or whatever, or in a box, and there was something in there. Even let's say that even if all of that happened, right? He was really young when he wrote this. He claims to have translated it. There are people who say that they witnessed and held a container that held the plates. None of them actually say that, as far as I can recall, none of them actually say that they looked at the plates themselves. It was, they were covered in something, or they were in a box or whatever. And, let's say that all of that really happened. None of that, even if you accept all of that, none of it proves that Joseph Smith had a first vision. It proves that he convinced people that he had a first vision. It proves that he wrote a story. It proves that he had people hold something. None of it proves that it was the word of God passed down to him. None of that proves that. So even if I grant everything that she wants to believe about Joseph Smith, quote unquote, translating the Book of Mormon, it still doesn't fucking prove that he's a prophet or that he had an actual first vision where God or Jesus came down and spoke to him.
But we can prove that he was a charlatan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can prove that he's a con man and a charlatan by all of his records of being imprisoned and jailed. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Even before he came up with the Book of Mormon.
Yeah. I just... The hoops that people will jump through to try to justify what they want to believe versus what is true in reality is always astounding to me. It just...
Yeah.
It's
that's
never
why
made any sense.
Opinions don't matter.
Yeah. Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah. If you like our opinions, we're cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Regina Tippett. I'm a licensed professional counselor. You can find me at Secular Therapy Project or rctcounseling.com. And you're listening to The Godless Rebelution.
My position in all of this is that Preacher Custer, like every single preacher, priest, and holy man since the dawn of time, is full of shit. The only true God, the only real God, is the God of meat.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
So we're coming up to being out of time here pretty soon. Before we go, I wanted to talk about one final thing, and I haven't even mentioned it to you yet.
No, you haven't.
No, but have you seen all of the stuff about a former guest that we've had on the show a few times? Who was here in my house. I've driven him around. I've introduced him. I've spoken with him.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
David Silverman is a walking shit show these days. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with that guy, but there's something fucking wrong with him. Maybe it's always been there. Maybe he's always been a massive asshole, and the mask has just completely slipped away, fallen off. But
yeah, which is also why we definitely need to change the thing people are playing for our show, for our ad for it.
Oh yeah. I need to. Anybody who is playing our show runner or ad for the show or little drop thing that we've recorded a long time ago, if you could stop using that, that'd be great. We'll come up with something again sometime. We've talked about doing it for a couple of years now, I think.
At least a year, but then COVID hit and it's hard.
Yeah. We need to record something else for people to use.
Yeah.
And there are a couple shows that I'll reach out to directly and say, hey, I appreciate you trying to throw some listeners our way by running this, but it'd be great if you just wouldn't anymore because
we mentioned a name in there and we don't like that anymore.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a couple people that we mentioned in there that have since turned into just not people that I would care to associate with very much, or if ever again, and that I feel bad that I ever did with how terrible they are now. Like, Silverman said some shit yesterday, or not yesterday, he said some shit on,
was it? No, I saw the clip on Twitter.
Yeah, it was a podcast that.
Yeah.
There's been so many breakups.
Posted it.
Yeah, there's been so many breakups in the atheist community. It was on a podcast that used to be pretty popular. I think it still is pretty popular. It's certainly more popular than our show. It has more listeners, more Patreon supporters and stuff like that. And that's fine and good, super duper. And I think the host probably does what he thinks is best and he thinks he's trying to do good things most of the time. I think he's really fucking wrong on a lot of points, and he's been an asshole in the past to other people in the community and has taken advantage of people, I believe. But that's all other stuff to discuss maybe at some other point in time. But I want to talk specifically about just what a huge fucking piece of shit David Silverman is, and that he's totally fucking red-pilled himself, man. Like, he's a fucking raging misogynist. He's a racist. He's just an asshole, a raging fucking asshole. It started off that apparently, this other show wanted to have him on there to talk about, Silverman had made a post on Twitter or had tweeted something about how he was thinking about voting for Donald Trump because the left has just gotten too crazy. The SJWs are out of control. Cancel culture is terrible. People have ruined his life. No, dude, you abused your fucking power and took advantage of people and were a giant asshole for a long time. And then when all of that came to light, you were fucking fired because you're an asshole and you did abuse your power. You were in a position representing a minority group that already has a lot of problems and is looked down on from outsiders all over the world. And then you, in charge of an organization, decided that you could just do whatever the fuck you wanted. And that's horseshit. You should hold yourself to a higher standard because you're not just out there representing yourself. You're representing an entire community of people who are already looked down on everywhere. And so when you fuck up, it reflects not just on you, but on that entire community, and you fucked us all because you're an asshole, a greedy, selfish fucking prick who couldn't keep your own prick in your fucking pants. I was counseled that we cannot or should not talk about a lot of this stuff for quite a while. And I think that I think the moratorium on being able to talk about that has kind of fallen away because there are a bunch of people talking about it now. Like, it's just, I listened to that episode and it just fucking disgusted me. Like, he repeated a bunch of things that are just completely untrue about different events that have happened recently. But everything that he said that is untrue is he's parroting right-wing talking points because he's fucking red-pilled himself. Yeah. Or, I mean, I know that he had some conservative views before and but he's gone. Yeah. Maybe he just secretly harbored a lot of right-wing views and kept them hidden from the community because most people in the community are not members of the right wing also. And like I said, maybe the mask has just fallen away, but I don't want anybody to think that I want to have anything to do with that individual going forward because I don't. I completely disavow anything and everything he does in the future because he's just
turned into a piece of shit.
Yeah. He's Dave Rubin'd himself. I fully expect that he's just, bucking to get his own show on Fox News or Breitbart or Daily Caller, some fucking right-wing bullshit rag or show where he can espouse his hateful, stupid, misguided, ignorant, uninformed views about shit. And like I said, it isn't even that we have a difference of opinion on things. Some of the things that he was saying are just factually fucking correct. And he's basing what he believes on those things when they can be shown to be demonstrably false, and he doesn't fucking care because it doesn't fit the narrative that he's trying to spew. So fuck David Silverman. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. I was highly disappointed that his book is still sitting on my shelf.
Well, and it's not that he hasn't given some good speeches or written some good things or done good things in the past. But what he's doing now is just erasing all of that. He's undoing any good work that he has done. And he wants to say, oh, I seek joy. I just want people to be friendly. I'm all about due process. Nobody gave me a chance. Fuck you. You had power that you fucking abused because you're a selfish, greedy fucking prick. Shut the fuck up. I hope he hears this, and I hope it hurts your fucking feelings, David, because you're an asshole. I'm so fucking disappointed in you. I can't fucking believe it. I can't believe that I called you a friend, that you've been to my house, that you've been here in this studio, you've eaten food with me, we've shared drinks, we've hung out. Like, what in the actual fuck, dude? Are you really just so upset that people weren't going to swallow you abusing your power? Is that it? That you have a problem with people telling you when you're wrong, and they can show when you're wrong, and when you've hurt other people, that you can't handle that criticism? And so it's not that you've done something wrong, it's that the world is turned against you? Go fuck yourself. Okay.
He lost his power, and now he wants it back.
And I guess before, when I said that's all I have to say about that, it wasn't quite all I had to say.
Wasn't quite true. Just get it out, Dan.
Yeah.
It's better when we talk about these things during our therapy sessions.
Yeah. And you know, it's really frustrating too, because there are a number of things that have gone on that nobody talks about. And there are people who know things that he's done that they haven't, really talked about publicly. There's a bunch of little rumors and stories and stuff in the community. And there are things that I know, that I witnessed myself personally, that I didn't say out loud and have never talked about publicly, because some of the things that I know wouldn't just hurt him, they would hurt other people. And they're not really my stories to tell. But if I see it's one of those things that you just kind of hang on to in the back of your mind to warn people about in the future. Like, hey, just to let you know, I see this is going on, and before you get too involved here, you should know about blah, right?
Yeah.
I think I've told you and Matt a couple things that he tries to deny a bunch of shit and say that, oh, well, these people lied and they're just out to hurt him. Bullshit, dude. You're a fucking liar.
Trying to save himself.
Yeah. And then saying what really fucking bothers me about it is that he's whining and bitching and acting like a little fucking dick and pretending that he didn't do anything wrong, or, well, sure, okay, yeah, I did do something wrong, but I didn't deserve to have my life destroyed for it. And then says that, it's fine that George Floyd was murdered. Fuck you fucking asshole.
He's basically saying he deserved it. It's good that he's gone. Fuck that piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and doubling down on it. Like, it makes me fucking sick. You're a disgusting, vile piece of trash. Yeah. And he's got a bunch of little fucking toadies that can't seem to do anything but want to suck his dick and lick his boots and wipe his ass. Maybe he needs all of that. I think he does. He's constantly seeking attention, for sure. And I'm guessing that's what a lot of this recent stuff is just he wasn't getting enough attention, and he'll get it however he can, whether it's positive or negative. Well, here's a lot of fucking negative attention for you, asshole.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to our show, everybody.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us. It's going to be a good weekend, I think. We've got a long holiday weekend ahead of us.
I don't.
Oh, all right. You got to go. You don't really follow all that stuff as much as a lot of other professions. So
I haven't had a holiday in it's getting close to 20 years.
Do you get extra pay on the holidays though?
No.
No? Really? Oh, that sucks.
Nope. We just work.
Well, that sucks.
There's no holidays in a fire station.
Yeah, I guess fire doesn't take a holiday. Accidents and emergencies don't take a holiday.
Nope. People still fuck themselves up.
People go out and do dumb shit all the time. Gonna need some help.
Whenever anybody on Facebook puts one of those things up, like, describe your work without saying what you do. I'm like, I show up when you fuck up.
If you see me, it's because you've done something really bad, probably.
Yeah.
Or someone in the area.
Your house on fire, started a field on fire, fallen off a ladder, had a heart attack. something's fucked up if I'm there.
Something done gone bad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you giving up those holidays and stuff. First responders, you guys really do help a whole lot, and I think are underappreciated at times. You know, you're hugely appreciated by those in need at the time, but I think a lot of the time people overlook that, you know, you're just always at the ready, and you do give up holidays and you do give up weekends, and that's
where we try to explain it to people when they try to take funding away. We're like, we're your insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if we're not having a high call volume right now, our job is to be prepared when that oh shit situation happens. So when you complain going, oh, the firefighters are just out playing with ropes again, they're just out rappelling off the mountains again or something, like, no, we're making sure that when you flip your vehicle over coming down this road, and if you fell down that ravine, we can get your ass out.
Yep.
Yeah, we used to get a lot of people like, they're just out there playing. Like, no, we're training, because we're not on a call, so we train for what if situation. So we're not just playing. It looks fun because it is fun.
Well, and sometimes you guys do just have fun too, but everybody just has fun at their work site sometimes, right?
Yeah.
It's not like everybody is all business all the time while they're at work.
Like, I helped a guy this last Tuesday, new to our fire department, hasn't done a lot of rope stuff before. He's never rappelled. So we had him rappelling up the building, and we got him to the point where he was confident with it. And it's like, yeah, this is actually fun. Like, the first time he was going over the edge, it's like, you can see he's scared shitless. But, you know, you do it a few times. He's like, no, actually, he's like, I enjoyed that. And the next day he said, I actually enjoyed that so much, I was looking online to see if I can't get into doing this on my days off. I was like, awesome.
Just going rappelling?
Just go rappelling. And I'm like, he was asking me about what's some good gear to get? And I had to explain to him, like, rope rescue and rappelling are two completely different beasts, but you'll learn some good stuff from this that you can take over and use to do that. And as long as you, stay proficient with knowing how to set up systems and get comfortable with going over the edge of a building or a cliff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all fun.
Well, super. Well, I hope you enjoy your time at work. Don't get called out on too many things, or that if they are, that it's not too bad.
We're just waiting. I think the bad stuff that has the potential of happening will probably be happening Saturday or Sunday, which is usually campers or people that go out to have fun on the weekend and wreck their ATVs or get stranded out there someplace, and we got to go get them.
Fuck their shit up one way or another.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't had anybody fall in a mine shaft in a long time.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. There's unmarked mine shafts, and sometimes they drive their ATVs right into them.
Yeesh. Well.
Yep. That'd be scary.
That'll wrap
Should we thank some people?
Yeah. I was going to say that'll wrap things up for us. We should thank our Patreon subscribers before we go. That would be Alan Firth,
Christy Callbach,
Gaytheist,
David Andrews,
Two Skeptical Chaps,
Vanessa,
Don't Be a Richard,
Ollie Olson,
John McCullough,
Tiffany Hudson,
Sinead Duffy,
Utah Outcast,
Wesley Aaron,
Andrew Vodopich,
Jeremy Goodson,
Let Them Eat Kofefi,
Jeff Peterson,
Corey Ebert,
Megan Mitchell,
Freethinker 215,
Tim Jacobson,
Janet Uter,
Savita Kuna,
Taylor Grin,
Purple Dragon,
Nico Gonzalez,
Chad Pryor,
Cletus the Slack-Jawed Yokel wants you to support the Atheists of Utah and the PA non-believers.
Super duper.
I didn't fuck up.
Good job, Ryan. You didn't fuck up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody, for supporting the show. We really appreciate it. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, you can do so by going over to patreon.com and searching for the Godless Rebelution, where you can contribute as little as $1 per episode. That helps us pay for the bills and keep the show going, so we really, really appreciate it. You can also send us money through means of PayPal if you would like, by using our email address of godlessrebelution@gmail.com. I will be sure that I'll be sure to post links to the Empathetic Atheist show that I was on. I'll post links to both the regular show and their after party, so you guys can watch that if you are so inclined. And so until next week, crucify leaders who believe that their armed forces who die defending their country are losers.
And leave us a review. And once again, please fucking vote. That's it.